Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And yeah guys, today I'm gonna be giving you the final episode of What If Naruto was trained by all the greats at a young age. I just wanna thank you all for following me on this journey. Thank you all for sitting back, relaxing and enjoying. I just wanna thank you all for that. And as you all know, don't be sad because new What Ifs are coming up soon for you guys to enjoy very soon guys. So just sit back, relax, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this final episode. Switch across the place and check out the other episodes for yourself and enjoy that. And also I posted a brand new episode of What If Naruto was too advanced for his age over an Anime King 2. So go ahead and check out that and enjoy guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking about to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new final episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, something was happening. As Koharu and the others made their way, Koharu needed to see what was going on. As the red chakra came pulling out of Naruto as a black poison was ejected from his body, Hinata had tears in her eyes as she realized that Naruto's body was healing. The red chakra was healing him. Koharu quickly exited, made her way as quickly as possible to inform Danzo and the others. Ryuki was pissed off as Danzo assured him that this was a short deal. So right now they had to do it. They had to kill him as they were going to war. As Kushina brought Naruto home, and he was safe in the basement with Neji and Shizune, while the rest of them got themselves ready. As it was going to be bad, it was going to be bloody. As Danzo, with his root agents and some Uchihas, well all of the Uchihas that could fight, were on Ryuki's side. As a brutal battle started up, people started to die from left to right, many of them being taken down. Even Hayashi was taken down as well. And Kushina's uncle, as she went into a fury and slaughtered at least 10 ninjas around once her uncle was taken down. Many people started to fall as Jiraiya summoned the Mabunta that strapped away straight towards the heart of the enemy and started to squash them. Countless lives were being lost. Two of the Uchihas managed to make their way down as they were going to attack Shizune and Neji to get to Naruto, but it was then it happened, he awoken. The red chakra seeped out of him and created two claws that grabbed onto them and turned them into paste as it squished them. The entire place felt it. Ryuki, Danzo, Koharu, Homura, all of them realized it was over as Naruto power circulated through the area and they felt it, and the rage behind it. Danzo figured that he might take a small walk and just enjoy the sunset because he knew that he was going to die soon. Homura went out to enjoy the sunset as well. Koharu read a book she wanted to finish. As Ryuki realized it was over, his ninjas had dropped from left to right as Naruto came down upon them with the Harashin. For their act of trying to kill the Hokage, he swiftly killed all of them. Naruto then grabbed Ryuki as he brought him towards Uchiha compound. He warned him about this. Ryuki begged him not to, but Naruto slaughtered every single adult Uchiha, leaving only the children behind. As he made his way back, everyone was surprised to see all the children of the Uchiha, but people started to adopt them rather quickly. Kushina even adopted a boy in her family as well, as Kakashi adopted a boy named Obito, as Gabriella and Haku adopted 6 of them. All of the Uchiha children were adopted and placed into a different home. They will no longer be a Uchiha clan, and if they awaken their Sharingan, it will be shared within the clan power that they are in. The Uchiha clan is now gone. So yeah guys, so it's basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across to the place and check it out for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? Well, final. I hope you guys enjoy. Yamato, Ibiki, and Ino, the 3 ninjas he called, came forward as he handed them an order. Yamato, I promote you to be commander of the envoy. Congratulations. After everything that has happened, I am forced to question their loyalty. Even the ones that didn't openly side with Danzo obeyed his orders. He then looked towards Ibiki. I want you to begin an investigation of every Anfu who did not come here to fight. Every last one of them. Ino, given your abilities, I would like you to help. What would you like me to do with the ones that are disloyal but didn't actually turn on you, said Ibiki. If they're root members, arrest them. If they're disloyal to me and not acted on it, then dismiss them from the Anfu. Hokage-sama, I hate to say this, said Yamato, but there are still a percentage of the Anfu who never fully accepted you as a Hokage but still loyal to the village. That's not good enough, said Naruto. Danzo and his root members could have said the exact same thing. The Anfus are expected to be the personal weapons of the Hokage. If any feel they cannot perform that role, they are no longer fit to be Anfu. They can still perform as regular ninja though. It will take weeks to sort out the entire Anfu, Ibiki said. Take as long as you need. Just make sure I can trust whoever fills it. As Naruto pulled out 4 more scrolls, Jiraiya, Kakashi, take however many ninja you want, but find Danzo, Koharu, Homura, and Michiyo. These are warrants for their arrest. Take them alive if possible. As he took out several more scrolls, Shikamaru Shizune, please go to the tower and put these new orders in effect. As Shikamaru looked through them, all the orders from Ryuki and Danzo were now null and void, as Naruto was placing Konoha under martial law, thereby following what Ryuki had done 24 hours ago, ordering the gates shut and all ninja missions suspended. The Uchiha properties and the properties of all rebels were confiscated. The Uchiha compound was restricted and made off limit. Only those with the express permission Hokage could go there. Shikamaru noticed all of them made sense until he got to the last one. He quirked the eyebrow. Harming any fox is a crime punishable, and by fine 50,000 Ryu, and up to 6 months enforced confinement. Killing any foxes is a fine up to 200,000 Ryu, and 3-year sentence of hard labor. Naruto, what does it have to do with putting things back in order? Nothing, said Naruto. It's part of a promise I made. Listen kid, Jiraiya said, all this is great, but there's something we need to talk about that can't really wait. He looked around the crowded room. Maybe we should go somewhere and talk in private. If this has to do with the fact that Naruto has a Kyuubi chakra again, don't bother, said Shikamaru. Everyone in the village I can sense chakra knows. And I think everyone will really appreciate an explanation. Yeah, Shikamaru does have a point. The Kyuubi was extracted from you, so how can you have his chakra again? I made a contract with the Kyuubi and the foxes, said Naruto. In a day that was full of so much surprises, that statement left the room rather silent. Troublesome, said Shikamaru. Jiraiya shook his head, not believing it. Kid, you can't bargain with one of the Biju. That's impossible. And I happen to know for a fact there is no such thing as a fox contract. Oh really, said Naruto as he beat his thumb, and performed the hand signs. Summoning technique. There was a small poof of smoke. When the smoke cleared, there was a fox at Naruto's feet, a red fox. That's impossible, Jiraiya said, as he couldn't believe it. Time skip. Kakashi and Jiraiya never expected to find Danzo within his home. They had gone there trying to find some clue of his true location, but he was there. They find him in his study surrounded by a pool of blood. A sword driven through his chest. His body already going cold. Bastard. To the easy way out, said Jiraiya. Well, at least he knew better than try and run once he lost, said Kakashi. What do you think of Michiyo? They had found his body lying in the basement, obviously dead for some hours now. I'm guessing he probably got cold feet, said Kakashi. Brave enough to rebel but not actually fight, Jiraiya said, as he shook his head. At least Danzo and Ryuki had the courage of their convictions. If they hadn't, there would have been a lot more people alive right now. Jiraiya grunted as Kakashi was right, but if there was one thing that he admired was guts, even if those guts were used in a bad cause. Well, let's see if we can find the other two that easily. Capturing Koharu and Homura was rather easy. Both of them were finding their home, and they offer up no resistance. As the two of them were sent to the tower where Naruto was, under heavy guard but without chains, as they were marched into the office where Hokage waited. As he allowed them to approach his decks, he placed down 2 pieces of paper and 2 pieces of pen in front of them, as they had already been interrogated by Ino and Ibiki. Following your interrogation, it is clear that the both of you conspire with Danzo and Ryuki to overthrow me and let Ryuki take my place. What is more, you Koharu directly attempt the assassination of my life by placing a genjutsu on my would-be assassin. That is true, Koharu said. It came out in the interrogation, so there was no point denying it now. We will not plead for mercy. We know the punishment for our actions, Homura said. You both deserve death, said Naruto, but he didn't shook his head. However, you are both the friends and teammates of the third Hokage. Out of respect for that man, I'll show you both mercy. Each of you, write out a resignation from the council and the village as well. Then take off your headbands. I will give you 1 hour to leave this village with whatever you can carry. The rest of your possessions will be confiscated. Go wherever you like. As long as that place is 200 miles away from Konoha. Punishment? Koharu said in surprise. That's right. I was born in this village. It is the only home I ever know, said Koharu. You should have thought of that before you rebel. I'm already showing you more mercy than you deserve. And if it's not this, it is execution. So shut your mouth and sign it, said Naruto. Time skip. It was no late afternoon, the bodies had been cleared up. As Naruto had apologized to Gamabunta for giving up the toad summoning contract. Gamabunta understand because if he did not, things would have turned out much worse. As Naruto asked him if he can let his uncle sign the contract, Gamabunta said that he would think about it as he headed off. Everyone in the village now knew that it had been an unsuccessful coup attempt. They also knew that the Uchiha clan had been wiped out except for a few children, and that Naruto had gained back the power of the Kyuubi. But the specifics for that were unknown at the moment. The military police was gone, of course, but the ISF and the part of the Envoy that were still functioning was maintained in order. Still, it would take a while to restore things. Kid, we need to talk. About what, perfect granddad, said Naruto. In case you've forgotten, the Akatsuki still have Yugito. She still have 3 days left, and this one is almost gone. It will take an entire day to reach the Hidden Rain. We have to begin assembling the army immediately. I haven't forgotten about her or the Akatsuki, said Naruto. But we won't be taking the army. I have something else in mind. Like what, kid? As Naruto told him, Are you serious? When it comes to my precious people, I'm always serious. Kid, what you're trying to do, it's Jerry was trying to find a word strong enough. According to your prophecy, there are only 2 options. Either I bring the world peace or total destruction. Nothing in between, right? If those are the stakes at the moment, then I can't hold back. In that case, I want to ask you a favor, said Jiraiya. Walking back into the kitchen, Naruto could smell dinner cooking. Is that your ramen I smell? Looking up from the stove, Kushina smiled and nodded. It is. I think you deserve a special treat tonight. Thanks, Mom. But listen, I have to go take care of something, and it will probably take an hour. So I'll be late to dinner, he said. That's fine, son. What are you taking care of? Well, I'm about to rescue Yugito, exterminate the Akatsuki, and save the world, and probably level most of the Rain Village. Yeah, an hour should about do it. Kushina gawked at her son. This day... What? My mom, said Naruto. Before she could protest, he was gone in a yellow flash. Meanwhile, in the grey void, the Kyuubi opened one of his eyes as he started to grin. Meanwhile, upon their return to the Hidden Rain Village, everything was prepared, as all of the members were there for this final ceremony. As the Kage, Pain had alerted all of his ninjas to secure the village. The moment was finally at hand, a new golden age of peace. With the power that he has at his disposal, he will become a new emperor, and each Akatsuki member will be given a part of the world to rule over as warlord in his name. And any who disturb his peace would meet a swift end. It is almost time, he said calmly. In 3 days, the transformation will be complete, and a new, all-powerful Biju will be born. Kodan looked towards him nervously. She had believed him, fought at his side, and she always trusted him. But now that they were near to the end, her doubts weren't just whispering, they were shouting. Pain, are you sure? She said quietly. What do you mean? He said, looking towards her. I'm wondering what Jiraiya Sensei said. He thought that this was madness. He simply does not understand, Pain reassured her. How could he? He's old and set in his ways, his mind is closed to new possibilities. She looked at him with worry. He said that we will destroy the world. He would say anything to try and stop us going on, but I won't let his word stop us. Especially that we're so close now. You aren't worried, aren't you? I have always been worried about this, she said. But out of loyalty for you, I've always set my fears aside. The final goal is noble. I mean, who could be against everlasting peace? But to create a Biju, does that not seem like madness to you? The master Jutsu will work, said Pain. He refused to listen to any doubt. Have I ever failed you or let you down, Konan? No, never. Not even once, she said. Then trust in me once more. I cannot do this without you. And once more, she set aside her fears and trust within him. I trust you, she said. To the end. The abandoned temple that had been their secret base was no longer abandoned. 100 Rain ninjas stood inside and outside to guard it. Beyond the village walls, his ninjas were patrolling, searching for any threat. Within the temple, some of his men chanted and spoke prayers. Many of them worship him as a living god. He has already decided once he rules the world, he will allow a cult to be formed. It might be useful. As his men watched, the members of the Akatsuki performed the ceremony. They stood on the fingers of a great statue as chakra was slowly being absorbed from the last Shinjulike. So just what happens once this ultimate Biju is created, said Kabuto. I will send it out to destroy one of the hidden villages as a demonstration of my power, said Pain. Then I will give all of them a chance to surrender to me and spare their lands. Which village? Said Sorcery. Como, said Pain. So much for the non-aggression treaty, said Sorcery. Yeah, said Deidara. I say blow up the hidden stone. I have made my choice, said Pain. If after I demonstrate my power and the stone refuses surrender, I will destroy it as well. Who the hell cares anyway, Hidan said. I'm just glad there won't be any more of these annoying ceremonies. You're kidding, right? Said Gakazu. I thought you loved long ceremonies. Only when they involve Jashin. Well, it doesn't matter, said Gakazu. I'm just looking forward to be a warlord. Making a fortune would be easy then. So what land will I rule? Toby wants to be a boss in Fire Country and make all the Leaf ninjas serve Toby, especially those with the red eyes. You mean the Uchihas, said Kabuto. Toby nodded. Thank you, Kabuto-senpai. Yes, Toby wanted the Uchihas to serve him. I have already agreed to that. Konoha and the Fire Country will be yours, do as you please. Provided that your wives don't surrender, of course. The Uchihas will be slaves or ashes. Either one make Toby very, very happy. Kabuto looked at him curiously. Why this sudden interest in the Uchihas? They were rather mean to Toby a long time ago, so Toby doesn't like them. The conversation was brought to a halt as a yellow flash appeared next to Yugito. The Akatsuki didn't bother to search the Jinjulkis, who were brought in for extraction. When Naruto was captured, he was wearing the necklace that was rather expensive, and no one removed it from him. Just as no one bothered to check Yugito packs, where 3-pronged kunai was located. The instant Naruto appeared, 100 kunais and shurikens came down on him. The red chakra came around him as he bounced away harmlessly. Since making the contract, the red chakra acted like an ultimate defense, even protecting him even if he was unaware of the danger. Stop, Pain said. The Jinjulki must not be harmed. Her name is Yugito, said Naruto as he looked up towards Pain. And she's not the one in danger now, as she was currently floating in the air as chakra was being drawn to her mouth and eyes. Naruto placed hand on her shoulder, and red chakra came around his body and protected both him and her. She remained unconscious though with red chakra oozing out of her. What do you think you're doing, said Pain. You have no idea what you're interfering with. Actually, Pain, you're the one that has no idea. You may be pretty smart when it comes to jutsu, but what you're doing here will end the world. Pain shook his head. I can control this power. No, you can't. Even if you do think that you're some god, you're not. And only God can do what you have in mind, create a living being. You know nothing, said Pain. I will bring peace to this world. I suppose that is true at any rate. I mean, with everyone dead, there won't be any more fighting. But that is not the sort of peace I want, said Naruto. You want peace and you want to protect your village. I can understand that because I want the same things. But the path you chose is the wrong one. This is the only path, said Pain. We live in a world with blood and violence, filled with strong men that prey upon the weak. In such a world, peace must be imposed, and for it to be an everlasting peace, it must be opposed by a power so great, none will ever try to oppose it ever again. And what good does it do if you're destroyed, trying to gain this power, said Naruto. As he looked around at all the people present, he knew how this was going to end, but he would keep his promise. Jiraiya asked me to tell you that he was sorry for failing you, Konan, and Nagato. He said he should have kept you with him and make sure that you three were alright. He wanted to know that he did what he thought was best, but he's sorry that it wasn't good enough. Konan seemed moved by those words, but Pain simply nodded. For what it is worth, I do not blame Jiraiya. He was a foreigner, and he did not owe us anything, and for that he will always have my thanks and respect. He also asked me to make you and Konan a last offer. End your efforts, release Yugito, disband the Akatsuki, and I will leave you in peace and never return. Pain frowned at that. You are in no position to dictate to me. I fully acknowledge that you're a powerful ninja, but Itachi was able to defeat you. What can you do against not all of Akatsuki but the entire village as well? Annihilate you, said Naruto. Please believe me when I say I had the power to destroy you all. I would rather not do that though. But I'm here to end all threats and end the Akatsuki once and for all. I can't be bluffed, said Pain. The demonic chakra, said Saucer. How are you able to wield it? You no longer possess the Kyuubi. I have a contract with the Kyuubi, which means all of its power is at my disposal at the moment. The surprise was obvious in their faces as Naruto could hear the rain ninjas whispering to one another. That is a lie, Pain accused loudly. Perhaps you do contain some remnant of the Kyuubi's power, but that is nothing we can't handle. Around Naruto, 5 ninjas appeared in a poof of smoke. All of them were in the black robes with red clothes on them. They had something else in common as well. They all have the same dojutsu. The Rinnegan, I suppose, Naruto noted. That is correct. They are the 6 paths of pain. Naruto halted as he started to laugh. You find something amusing in all of this? Sorry, it's just that Itachi told me that you were 6 before he died. It drove me literally crazy trying to figure out what you meant. It doesn't matter. You're no match for them, said Pain. As they were really close to Naruto, that was a stupid move. In an instant, 5 right arms lashed out and grabbed them. Naruto wastes no time and crushed them as their blood spew in the air. Is that all it comes down to? Who has more power? 4 tails emerged from the red chakra. The ordinary ninjas started to back away. The only thing that kept them from running was that their god was watching them. As for the Akatsuki, they started to look rather nervous, except for Pain and the one in the orange mask, who just stood there, unmoving and just glancing. How can you have this level of power without the Kyuubi inside you, said Kabuto. I already told you, said Naruto as he pulled a kunai. I have a contract with the Kyuubi. That's impossible. The Kyuubi is bound within this prison, said Pain. Funny thing, said Naruto, people keep on telling me the things I do are impossible, and I just keep on doing those things anyway. Now I'll give you one chance to spare your village on yourself. Give this up. Never, said Pain, as Konan looked very fearful. Alright then, you asked for it. Naruto sliced open his palm. I don't suppose that any of you are seal masters. As none of them said anything. Well, it doesn't matter. None of you seem like the self-sacrificing type. Summoning Jutsu! As he wrapped his cloak around Yugito, creating a dome to protect them as it was a shaking sound, followed by the sound of cracking. Tiles of chunks and brick and marble started to rain down. The rain ninjas started to panic and run, some of them taking cover as best they could. The temple was not the only thing breaking. The finger was one first. The hands of the grotesque statue snapped and went down to the floor. The Akatsuki who was standing on them jumped away without trouble. What the hell is going on here, said Hidan. It's beautiful, said Deidre as he was standing on one of his large clay birds. Sorcerer landed distance away as he simply eyed Naruto. Kabuto feeling was telling him to get out of here, so he quickly listened to that and disappeared. Konan created a large pair of wings to shelter under. She stood near Pain to protect him as well. We should get out of here, she yelled to him. He did not hear her. All he could see was the statue with a large crack running in the middle. And as the crack widened, he saw a bright white light. Konan could feel the power behind the crack as she felt terrified. She grabbed his shoulder. Pain, we have to go. It's going to... The word she would have used was explode, but that never left her lips. All at once, the prison gave way and the power inside was released. The explosion was like hundreds of thousands of paper tags going off at once. The temple and a 10 city block, everything in that radius was destroyed. Everyone in the vicinity was blown to pieces, except for Naruto and Yugito. When the explosion ended, 6 white lights raced into the sky like comics. As they blast off in the different direction and was gone from sight. Some of the light flew back into Yugito. With all the chakra returned to her, she breathed easier, but she was still unconscious. That left one light hanging in the air above them. The light started to thicken and expand, growing in size and mass. As it started taking on a reddish thin, as 9 tails started to grow out, with legs. The legs slammed down into the crater that was once a temple. The monster reared its head back and howled. After 16 years, the Kyuubi once more walked the earth. As Naruto found himself looking up at the monster. Only this time it wasn't a dreamscape. He was in the real world, and he had set the Kyuubi free. Kyuubi, he shouted. Well, looks like you kept your end of the bargain, and I shall keep mine. Well, that is really good to know. So you have to obey me, right? Yes, the fox said. Alright. Did any of the Akatsuki members survive? Yes, 2 members. Uchiha Madara and Kabuto. Uchiha? Said Naruto. You mean there's another Uchiha in the Akatsuki besides Itachi? Madara was the original founder of the Akatsuki, the fox said. There was much more but he would not share. Oh well, he's not going to be recruiting any new members. I want them both dead, said Naruto. Done, the fox said. You realize though that there will be some collateral damage, which is your way of saying that you're going to level most of the village to get them, right? The fox simply smirked. I want Akatsuki gone, said Naruto. The fox laughed as he leaped away, creating massive craters as he landed. Meanwhile, Madara had to stop as a paw came crashing down in front of him. Oh, you can do better than that, the fox said. Give me a good chase before I eat you. You can't do this, said Madara. We have a contract. We had a contract, it was broken. The instant you imprison me, his ability to turn intangible was useless against a fox. He was like a mouse running for his life against a cat. But in this case, the cat had 9 giant tails and was humongous and was going to devour him. The Kyuubi eventually returned with the half-chewed up body of Kabuto, which he spat out. He had ate Madara. With the fight over, Naruto dismissed the Kyuubi. He took a quick survey of the village. From what he could see, there wasn't many buildings standing. Akatsuki was finally gone. Time skip. Yugito slowly opened her eyes. As she wondered how was she glanced around. She then saw his face. Naruto? Is that you? As Naruto gave her a smile, she reached up and touched his cheek. You have your whiskers back. I'll explain later. You came for me, she said. Of course I did, said Naruto. She felt weak, but she was in his arms. And that made it alright. Why? Why would you do that? He leaned down as he gave her a slow and gentle kiss. Because you're precious to me, and I will never abandon you. She felt her face blush and her heartbeat pick up. He stood up and held her in his arms, bridal style. Let's go home, Yugito-chan. My mother is making her special ramen. Home? Yeah, home, said Naruto, as he vanished in a yellow flash with her. Time skip. 2 months later, he was sitting in the waiting room nervously. Yugito, his second wife, was holding his hand trying to comfort him. His mom, Alisa, his new brother, Masaharu, his uncle Shinzu, his brother, and Kiba were all there waiting with him. Kushina saw the look on her son's face. You don't need to be so nervous, Naruto-kun. Everything is fine. I know that, but I just can't help it. A couple hours passed before Shizune came out, as everyone jumped to their feet. Is everything alright, Naruto said. Shizune smiled and motioned for calm. Mother and son are both doing fine. Come with me. They all followed closely behind. There, exhausted Hinata held a small bundle in her arms, as Neji smiled down. Hinata looked up at her husband and gave him a beautiful smile. Naruto-kun, there's someone here that likes to meet you. Naruto walked to her side and looked at the tiny little person in her arms. She gently held him out to his father, and he took him gently, carefully supporting his back and his head. Naruto looked down at the baby face. His son already had a little blonde hair and his eyes were open. They were blue, much lighter than his own, and on each of his cheeks were 3 scars. It amazed and scared him how much he loved his son. It didn't seem possible someone he just met had such a hold on his heart. Gently, he leaned down and kissed his son's forehead. Hello, Minato-kun. I'm your dad, and I love you so much. Time skip. 5 years later, a 21-year-old Naruto looked up from the maps. Despite his age, his eyes had weariness in them. In one way or another, he has been fighting to make his dream come true his entire life. Sometime in moments like these, the exhaustion from all of that came through, but his eyes still had strength and resolve behind it. He wasn't just fighting for himself or his family, no. He was fighting for everyone. He was fighting to bring on a new golden age of peace to the world. This is the last battle, Naruto told them. After today, the war will be over, and there will be no more killing. A pale and weird-looking Jiraiya shook his head. There will always be battles fought. Even when this war ends and peace begins again, there will still be enemies out there somewhere. Naruto nodded slowly. I guess there will be, but there won't be any more wars. As Naruto looked towards the man who had been his saint and his kindly grandfather to him, Jiraiya was dying of liver failure, a slow, painful death, and not the kind that he ever pictured for himself. He always said that he wanted to end his life in a glorious battle. He looked at the others. His mom, Kakashi, Asuma were also glancing toward Jiraiya. They all knew. The tent flapped open. A 17-year-old Chunin walked in, wearing a black and red bodysuit. Her long dark hair was tied in a ponytail and a pink bow. On her ring finger was an engagement ring from Konohamaru Sarutobi. Brother, she said, the Kages are coming out on their flag of truce. Alisa, what have I told you about camp of discipline? Said Kushina. She performed a ridiculously deep bow to her older brother. Oh, forgive me, great, powerful, Hokage-sama. Naruto grinned and rubbed the top of her head. Alright, just this once, Alisa-chan, he said. As Kushina shook her head, you know, you're not helping, right? Kakashi decided to bring things back on track. It looks like they accepted her offer. It's a waste of time, Jiraiya croaked. They will never agree to your terms. Probably not, said Naruto. But if there's any chance to save life, I have to try. With that, he left the meeting. None of them tried to argue him out of it. They all knew he was going no matter what. Besides, with his ultimate defense, there was no chance the Kages can do him any harm, even if he decided to try. As he left the command tent, he saw familiar faces. Haku and Gabriella were talking with Kiba and Teiwaya. Along with their 6 adopted children, the Momokais had a natural-born son and daughter. They had just recently moved out of the Namikaze estates and in their own mansion. Kakashi had grown extremely close to his son Obito. Kiba and Teiwaya had finally got married a year ago. She had given birth to a happy, healthy baby boy 4 months later, even though she was seen threatening Kiba in the village, and she was chasing him down. They were a happy couple. Ino and Choji exchanged a kiss, no doubt for added luck. The both of them had 2 children, 2 girls. Shikamaru was acting Hokage at the village now, and Temaru was stuck there because of Rule 77, as Temaru has been trying to get pregnant for 5 years without any success. And Shikamaru was always complaining that he just wanted to relax, and Kiba always berated him. He was having sex with a beautiful woman and yet he was complaining. Then of course Temaru got pregnant on the eve of the climatic battle, and she had to stay home. Not too surprising, she blamed Shikamaru for all of it. Hinata was also home as well. She was going to have their 3rd child. While she was there, she looked after their son, and their 3-year-old daughter, Hana. She will also take care of the 4-year-old son that he and Yugito had. The boy's name was Junsiku. He missed all of his children terribly. He missed the ones he loved out here in the war. Also his uncle Shinzu, as he had a total of 8 children from his 3 wives. as his three eldest sons were close, as brothers could be. Shinjo was already talking about the day the three of them will be a Genin squad. He spotted Tenten and her Genin squad. Her son Hisashi was living back at the Hyuga compound, with his father Neji the clan head. The Hyuga clan really had changed and Naruto was proud to be the catalyst. He finally found the person he was looking for. Coming up from behind her, he came and gave her a kiss. Did I surprise you? No, silly. I smelled you the moment you entered this clearing, said Yugito. One of these days I'm gonna surprise you. Good luck with that, she said. The Kages have come out. Since there are two of them, you want to come with me to make numbers even? I wouldn't miss it for the world, she said. Time skip. The right Kage and Tishikage stood between the two armies. Behind them was a force of 4,000 rock and stone ninjas. Before them was an army of over 5,000 ninjas with banners from many other villages, including Mist and Sand. This was the army of the Grand Alliance, the army of the Fox Lord, Naruto Namikaze. All alone, the land of earth and lightning struggled, seeing that the growing economy between all the growing alliances were going so well and they were being left out of it. They were the ones that didn't join in the first place and now they were suffering because of it. So they decided to ambush it by sending assassinations, bombings, and everything just to make the mess. Just because they want to weaken the alliance. But in the end, it led the six Hokage to declare war on their lands. This was a decisive battle, unless they came to some sort of agreement. He's coming, Tishikage said. And look, he's bringing his wife. Yugito, the Raikage said. Suddenly, sounding a bit nervous. Oh, that's right, Tishikage said. She scares you, doesn't she? Don't mock me, the Raikage said. If you had ever seen her angry, you'll be scared too. As Naruto and Yugito approached him, pleasantries were exchanged. As she smiled at the Raikage hungrily, and she could smell the fear. Well then, you asked this parley, Tishikage said. What do you want to discuss? Well, since I'm in sight. All, the stone ninja supposed to retreat, Naruto asked. The Tishikage did not respond to the joke. So Naruto continued. My terms haven't changed. You and your families must surrender to me immediately. You will be given spacious homes in the village of Konoha and be treated well. But you will not be allowed to leave. Your nations must surrender. Both of your countries will be able to join the Grand Alliance once. I see that you fully obligated to the orders. Think carefully before answering. My terms are generous. We don't need to think about what Tishikage said. Your terms will leave us your slave. Unlike the hidden stone, said Naruto, remembering his uncle all those years ago when he was trapped there. Konoha doesn't keep slave. Your country will have all the rights as the other alliance members. So you will try to reduce us to the same status as waterfall or grass, Tishikage said. That's right, said Naruto. All the members are equals and they follow the same laws and follow same obligations and everything. When your two nations join, there will be an end to war. Do you truly believe that, Raikage said? Is that really your goal, or just a pretty propaganda? I mean to bring peace to this world and I will. Whether you live to see it or not, it's all up to you, said Naruto. And what place does ninja have in the world of peace, said Tishikage. Some will remain warriors, no doubt. There will always be a need for police and a military force to keep the peace. But jutsus and chakra can have different uses besides killing. The greatest healers in the world are ninjas. The greatest builders in the world are earth-type ninjas. Ninja can bring water where it's needed or wind to drive ships. There will always be a place for ninja in this world no matter what. Tishikage shook his head, refusing to see it. We are the greatest warrior this world has ever known. That is our place. To do what you suggest would strip us of all of our honor and our glory. What I suggest is a way for us to live without pointless war and all the waste they cause. I've had enough. There's no possible terms of agreement here, said Tishikage. The Raikage also turned to leave. I'll be seeing you soon, said Yugito. Naruto shook his head sadly. Why, does it always come to this? As Naruto made his way, as the Kages returned back to their army, as a hand placed on his shoulder, as Naruto turned, Kid, Jiraiya said, let me take the lead. Granddad, said Naruto. Come on, kid, do this one last favor for me. We both know I'm dying. My life has been a great story, one filled with adventure, romance, sorrow, and joy. But every story has to end sometime. Me dying in a hospital bed just doesn't cut it. Now, going out all alone against the enemy army. Now that's a death worthy of a Sanin. Naruto looked at the man as he reached out and pulled him to a hug. I love you, Granddad, he said. Love you too, kid. Love you too, said Jiraiya. Timeskip, Jiraiya stood in front of the entire army. Every eye was on him. As he walked, he bit his thumb. Just one more time. Summoning Jutsu! There was a poof. Jiraiya now stood on top of Gamabunta's head, as he was glad that the Uzumaki would have the Toad Summoning contract once he was gone. So, this is it, isn't it, Jiraiya, said Bunta. Yeah, it is, said Jiraiya. As Jiraiya pulled out a flask and filled a cup. Would you have a last drink with me, Bunta? It would be honor. As Bunta opened his mouth as Jiraiya poured the cup content into his mouth. Before taking that swig, downing the flask in his mouth as well. Alright, Bunta. One last hurrah. As Bunta nodded as he drew his blade. Let's do this. The forces of the Grand Alliance did not go forward. That was what Jiraiya wanted, as Jiraiya delivered a horrible destruction onto the enemy. Until his wounds made him withdraw, Jiraiya was then left all alone in the middle of an enemy army. They all came at him at once, but it took them 10 minutes to finally bring the man down. As Naruto lowered his head in respect, all of them did. That was the death worthy of Asani, as the enemy came rushing forward towards him. Naruto bit his thumb as he went through hand sign. Summoning Jutsu, he said. There was a massive poof in front of him. 9 massive tails could be seen, whipping through the air. The fox looked forward as he saw the army. A dark chuckle escaped his lips. Standing on top of his head was Naruto. Well, you summoned me. Do you have something for me or not? He said. He already knew what Naruto wanted, but he decided to just draw this out a bit. Well, you see them, said Naruto. The fox laughed. Indeed I do, he said. The actual fighting lasts less than half an hour, as Yugito had went in, and she dealt with the Hokage personally. As Naruto and the fox did most of the fighting, he told the army to stay back. Unless attacked, they should not fight. As the fox teared through their ranks, at the end, only one member was lost on Naruto's side, and that was Jiraiya, while the other side lost everything. This victory now started the unification between the entire continent. Time skip. 500 years later, the academy teacher was looking at his students. Alright class, we're going to do a review. A lot of sighs could be heard, but ignore that. Okay, we'll start with the easy one. Who was the 6th Hokage of Konoha? Every hand rose. Anyone that didn't know the answer to such an easy question was going to fail the test tomorrow. As the teacher pointed on a boy. Naruto Namikaze. Mamakai, Kyuubi said. The teacher nodded. What was some of his accomplishments? More hand rose as the teacher pointed on a boy. He had pink hair. Sasuke Haruna spoke, eagerly happy to show off what he knew. He established 2 new clans here, the Uzumaki and the Mamakai. He was the founder of the Grand Alliance and the first president. He brought an end to the warring nation and began the path Konoha, the peace that has lasted ever since. He was also the one to bind the Kyuubi to the service of the Fox clan, the Namikaze. The teacher nodded please, as the students all whispered teacher's pet. He looked at his laziest student, Shikado, Nara. Can you name me another accomplishment of the 6th Hokage? He changed what it meant to be a ninja. Explain please, the teacher said. Shikado raised an eyebrow. Bothersome. He muttered. In the age of war, all ninjas are expected to be warriors, but no one ninja is simply someone who's able to use chakra. A ninja can be anything from a soldier to a doctor to a farmer. Seeing the teacher nod, the boy put his head back down. Was Naruto Namikaze always well respected, the teacher asked, as he pointed to a blonde-haired girl. No. Kira, Yamanaka said. As a young child he was hated due to him being the Kyuubi container, and his mother killed everyone that threatened him. The teacher nodded. That's something you should all remember. Impressions can change over time. Someone's a hero can end up a villain, and a villain can end up a hero. Now who can tell me about the unknown clan? As he pointed to a dark-haired boy. Obito Hatake. There was once a clan a long time ago that stand against Hokage and tried to kill him. But the Hokage exterminated them and erased all records and destroyed the clan. The teacher grinned. And what was his clan's name? The boy shook his head. He wasn't about to fall for such a trick question. No one knows. The clan name was lost, and the exact reason why they rebelled was unknown. But they did something bad because Hokage took revenge and exterminated the clan. What was some of the name the 6th Hokage was known by? I'll answer that one, a girl said. As the teacher turned, he was not surprised his top student wanted to answer that question. By all means, Kushina Namikaze. She picked her pet fox up from her lap and placed him on the desk. As she stood so she had everyone's attention. She had long flowing red hair, green eyes, and a grin on her face. On each cheek she had 3 whisker marks. One day she replaced her father as a summoner of the Fox clan. She had on a black and red bodysuit that both Uzumaki and Namikaze clan wore. The only way to tell them apart was a clan patch. The Uzumakis had a whirlpool on theirs. The Namikaze had a grinning fox with 9 tails. Namikaze Naruto was the son of the 4th Hokage and the father of the 8th. He is recognized to be the greatest ninja to ever live. In a memorial, he has his listing and all his titles. He was a loving son, a good brother, a devoted husband, a beloved father, a loyal friend, a terrible enemy, a fierce warrior, and a great student, an adept politician. She took a birth. He never broken a single promise. He never abandoned a precious person. He never forgot an enemy. He invented over 100 jutsus and seals, and he changed the world. In this day, he was a demon of a leaf, the second Flash, the Lord of Foxes, the summoner of the Kyuubi. But there was one other title he was most proud of, as she smiled. He was the greatest Hokage of all. She sit back down at a big smashy place, a fox in her lap. As the teacher nodded, that pretty much summed it up. But guys, this is where this comes to an end. I really hope that you guys enjoy this. I just want to say thank you all again for following me on this journey and this trip. And don't be sad guys, because you already know that new watches are coming up soon for you guys to enjoy. So just sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy each and every one of them. But for now, I'm out. This is the final time you hear me say, what if Naruto was trained by all the greats? So yeah, see y'all soon. Peace.